Hey, everybody. Welcome to a Tuesday night edition of Wonderful World of Generation X, I guess. Usually, hey, Peanut. Usually I go to live from work, but today I had an event with this one celebrating her volleyball championship. So I took the night off.
Nobody's in.
They'll come in and they'll see it on the replay a lot of times. So you
Uh,
still have to talk even before people come in. What's going on, Frankie C? How are you? Welcome, y'all. Also wanted to say thank you to everybody. I cannot believe we got to 100,000 followers. What's going on, Regina? How are you? Sherry J, what's up? Yvonne, Metalman, Lisa. Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it. Kristen, thank you guys. You guys have been with me on this side and all the others. Doreen, how are you? Long time, guys. You guys are a big part of what makes it happen. You are literally the ambassadors. Give me a word, any word, and I'll tell you the root of that word in Greek. I can play that game. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. Cindy Buckner, thank you. Thanks, Frankie. Appreciate it. Can you believe it? 100K. I've been watching the last couple days, and so far no official confirmation from YouTube yet, but I would assume they like a little bit of a buffer so it doesn't fly back the same way. So that you don't get a play button and then slide down to 99,000. Doreen says hi to Cleo.
Hi.
Thotty Hottie, she is my peanut. She had an event today that we went to celebrating her volleyball championship. So not at work today. Usually I'll go live with you guys at work. Tonight we were at an event for her. I really appreciate it, Michigan Life. Honestly, thank you so much. Kristen saying hi to Cleo. She's got homework to do, though.
Yeah.
She's all pretty. My little girl's wearing a dress. Just here for the Everclear. Well, Sherry, now to be fair, I said that I would do the shot of Everclear if we hit the 100K during that live. That didn't happen, so I don't think I'm obligated. Thank you, Cindy. How was your birthday, Cleo?
It was fun. Got a lot of clothes.
A lot of clothes. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, well earned. Great season. As somebody who, being a girl dad, my oldest daughter didn't do a lot of sports. So she had other things. She was a theater girl. She does theater. She does chorus. She's had solos. She's an athlete on top of it. It's incredible how many games I went to watch of hers that went down to the last second. Hey, Killer MJ. Being a girl dad, screaming my ass off. I mean, literally yelling. I embarrassed her half the time with how hard I would yell. What's on the shelf, Akio? A lot. We got some Ad Dog 2020, Goldschlager and Everclear, Coca-Cola bottle, some Pac-Man video games, throwback candy, Star Trek stuff. My pride and joy is the Back to the Future hoverboard from my buddy over at Kryptonite Creations LLC. Got a lightsaber. Kryptonite Creations also made this for me. He made us a couple of them. Where am I located? Currently in the Charlotte area. Cool toys. Lots of Bill stuff.
I think these were like one of your first.
Yeah, the Bill stuff were the first. Soccer boppers, Goonies stuff, Gremlins.
And the candy.
And the candy.
That's one of your first.
Can I see the necklace much closer? Do you have a necklace on? Oh, yeah. What do you have on?
It's just a chain.
Oh, it's just the chain? You're not wearing a cross? No. Love the jammy bottoms. Yeah, got comfortable. I was all dressed up for her event, so came home and swept. Yep, Killer, it's my youngest daughter. Maybe Sunday you'll get confirmation, then drink the Everclear. Maybe. Yeah, Akio, I see the skeleton up there from the Goonies is right there.
When do you drink it?
Praise the Lord, Clips. What's going on, LeBron?
When do you drink it?
I said that if we went live and hit the goal, I would do a shot of Everclear. Maybe Sunday. Let's see what's going on this Sunday. Today's the 28th, so tomorrow's Wednesday. My birthday's this Friday. I turned the big 5-5 on Friday from upstate New York. Channel Toto is about 70s, 80s, 90s era stuff for the most part. It's kind of like the Gen X experience, but at the same time, it's just, I love it when I get younger people in here as well, because then we just talk about what makes their generation different than ours. And then today, hey Marie, how are you? Wirehead, there you are, buddy. Friday, January, so I apologize. Saturday, February 1st is my birthday. Can I say, okay, Sammy. The other thing is like a date like today is a great day to talk to kids. What's up, honey?
No, I was just reading what you said. They said.
Yeah. Disney never airing. See, Bad News Bears, there's no surprise there. I mean, think about our original Bad News Bears. She saw it just last year, maybe, and she was shocked to see kids her age on screen smoking, drinking beer, riding in cars without seatbelts, playing without helmets. The guy Walter Matthau was literally drinking while driving them to the games. So I mean, yeah, am I surprised that? I guess they could show it and put some kind of disclaimer on it, but putting the disclaimer on it almost ruins the showing it in my mind. Maybe it should just be for us moving forward. I don't know. But then I look at today, and when we look at January 28th, if we go back 39 years, this is a day anybody that remembers being around in 1986. This is a day we don't forget. Thank you, Joshua. This is according to, Doreen mentions Bad News Bears being something our generation was built on. Today is the anniversary of what our generation was built on as well. I'll talk to kids, and I talk to my kids, and I explain to them what it was like. Yeah, exactly, Doreen, Challenger. What Challenger meant, what this day meant to us. The fact that there was the hype leading into it. We grew up the first generation to be bored with space exploration. We stopped being excited about space shuttles taking off. We stopped being, completely and totally enamored with what was going on. It became normal. Shuttles were taking off and landing, and no one was paying any attention. And that's why she's absolutely a blessing to have, Joshua. You have no clue, my friend. Hello, Irfan from Iran. Hope I said that right. We were just taking it for granted. And then I appreciate that. We woke up one morning and they said, we're taking a teacher up in space. We're taking a civilian up in space. They took one of us to go up in space, and they had the competition and the hype beforehand, and we all got excited about it again. And it was in a lot of ways a publicity stunt to get us excited about space exploration. And ironically, it had the exact opposite effect and ended for a time the space shuttle program itself. But I think what makes it Gen X is more than just the tragedy. Bet you $5 you won't take that Everclear shot. Double dog dare you, 100,000 subs, brother. Well, it will take a hell of a lot more than a double dog dare and a $5 super chat wire. Mainly because I got stuff to do yet tonight. If I was going straight to bed after this, it hasn't even been cracked. This thing is still sealed. Yeesh. I need a chaser. Yeah, I'll chase it with Mad Dog. Greek background. Both my parents immigrated from Greece, Andre. But thank you, Marie. But what I was saying about Challenger was, so we woke up expecting to see something amazing, something inspirational, something incredible. And we saw something amazing. But when I told them how many of us watched it live as kids, she was shocked. She's like, how does that happen? And then on top of watching that catastrophe, how many of us had the teachers turn it off? Hey, Gerald, how are you? Just literally turned it off. Young Trekkies everywhere seeing a plume of smoke. I barely remember. So I was taking my New York State Regents exams, and we weren't watching live. I was a sophomore. But all of a sudden, I have a clear memory of teachers whispering and starting to cry. And they couldn't hide it anymore. So they announced to us, guys, we just wanted to let you know. And, a lot of you were aware that the space shuttle was launched and that Crystal McAuliffe went up. They told us that it blew up and said, you'll have time to look at it after class, after school. Right now, we need you to focus on the task at hand. Other kids saw it live, and the teacher turned off the TV and said, okay, now break out your notebooks. We're going back to school, back to work. You didn't have time to even process it. That was how we were told to process things. We were told to put things on a back burner when we saw trauma in front of our very eyes. The way we reacted to 9/11 is in large part due to how we grew up reacting to the Challenger. Our generation reacted differently. Thank you so much, JTR, to 9/11. Not to say that we didn't feel sorrow and empathy and all of that, but we kind of compartmentalize it. And I think we've been doing that all our lives. And I think it starts there. Can you send a little bit for me? Everclear? Come and get it. Displaced Western New Yorker. Same here. We lived through the Challenger disaster, the AIDS epidemic, the Son and Sam murders, the Jonestown suicides, and of course, Richard Simmons in short shorts. Crackled, I grew up in Wolcott, New York, which is a small town kind of like Mayberry with apple orchards and cornfields, midway between Rochester and Syracuse, right on Lake Ontario. And then I went to school at the University of Buffalo. It was too cold for the Challenger to launch. Yeah, Joshua, she's 13, so it's going to take some time before anyone's marrying her. Appreciate the thoughts, maybe. Chicago Cubs hat is because my parents were Greek immigrants and had a very difficult time distinguishing between Bills stuff and Cubs stuff. So no matter how often I asked for Bills stuff, I would often get Cubs stuff. And thanks to WGN allowing all of us to watch the Cubs game, I became a fan at a really young age. So that's why the Cubs stuff. She has your eyes. Fifth grade for 9/11. We went home early, didn't process it. Yeah, and that's the difference. I'm not putting the two tragedies side by side and calling them equal. Thank you so much, Life. I'm not putting them as equal, but I'm saying the way we were instructed to react was different. Not very many of us got to go home early, and we watched it live. I mean, there we were sitting there, a lot of us expecting to see it go. It was a successful early launch. They cleared the tower. They throttled up. It looked like all was go. But to somebody's point, it was too cold. The O-rings were susceptible to cracking and leakage. And that's what caused the fuel to ignite, I guess. Loved your Everclear video. Love watching stuff from Canada. Appreciate that. We were taught to compartmentalize. The advice we got as kids very often was don't think about that right now. How many times did you ever go home and say something was bothering you? I'll be 55 on Saturday, Samuel. How many times did we go home after school being upset about something and our parents would kind of compare it to the tragedies they had in life, which they were poorer than we were. They suffered more than we did. They went through wars and depression and God knows what else. Thank you, Richard. So we were just told, don't listen. The advice was don't think about it. If that bothers you, just don't think about it. Ignore it. Oh, somebody's bullying you, ignore them. They're jealous. Let it go. Are there a lot of... I don't even know. My mom was the same way. Immigrant herself. Yeah, especially those of us that are first generation. We can't compare with we couldn't compete with our parents' trauma. And R-Tax was a big one. Optimus was pretty big. So 9/11's another one. I was in my late 20s, but I was headed down to New York City that day. I was a contestant on a game show called The Weakest Link, and we were supposed to film the next day. So I was going to drive down to New York City to prepare for that. And before I left, I just happened to turn the TV on and saw what was happening. And obviously the rest of the story is I went nowhere. And that was the end of that show as well. They never came back from hiatus. My dad always told us, get over it. If we cried, dry it up. In my daughter's opinion, what is the most traumatic event she witnessed? Well, you're too little for 9/11.
Yeah.
What have you seen, heard of? What memory strikes you as, wow, I can't believe that happened? Anything yet? Mm-mm. We were in Disney when President Trump, the assassination attempt, that was one, depending on how it would have gone, politics aside, mind you, I'm not trying to get into politics, but had that ended differently, that probably would have crystallized into a moment for her. But, she's Gen Z, maybe the beginning of Gen Alpha, depending on how they settle this stuff out. And thankfully, there's nothing there yet for them. COVID, yeah, I don't know how we slipped by that, but she had a different experience with COVID, I think. We didn't, so healthy family. We have no older people. My mom wasn't here. We didn't have anybody to protect. We're all very healthy. We have no immune deficiencies in our household. So we really didn't pull her away from socialization the way a lot of kids think they had to be. Um, the people in our neighborhood very healthy, and we all decided to basically isolate together. So her idea of COVID was doing school at home, but then she'd get to play with all the kids in the neighborhood. We still did trick or treating in our neighborhood. We still did Christmas caroling in our neighborhood. We really did a threat analysis. We looked at, what could happen as a result of COVID, and we as a family and as a neighborhood decided that the pain to our children of pulling them back and having them miss those formative years, 9, 10, 11 years old, and just never have what we had, we thought that was too much for them to miss. So she didn't miss that. That's why COVID didn't shoot out of her mouth as a traumatic experience, because for her, it wasn't. AIDS was kind of our first mini pandemic. It was. But I remember like Reagan and Nancy Reagan was the forefront of that and eventually began talking about it. But when AIDS was just a gay cancer, it wasn't really getting the attention because unfortunately at that time, the idea of the LGBTQ isn't what it's become today. We weren't as aware of certain things. So I think a lot of people were almost okay that it was blood cancer or that it was the gay blood cancer and it was just for them. Now, when it started spreading out and we saw, young children as a result of blood transfusions getting it and other things, then we all woke up to the threat. I'll be 55 on Saturday, for those asking. They had diet candy called AIDS. I've done if you look up AYDS, Gen X Jono, you will see a video that I did on that as well. Yeah, this is my 13-year-old daughter. My grandson did pre-K Zoom meetings, which is so strange. Not seeing them was rough. I don't see Bop It in the background. No, I don't have a Bop It yet. That was later. I need a Bop It. I need a Merlin. I need Perfection for sure.
We have a Bop It downstairs, but I think it's like a newer.
The Bop It we have downstairs is probably a good 20 years old. It was your sister.
Oh, yeah.
She looks just like me. Hopefully a much prettier version. Guys, I appreciate those on alert as far as moderators. Thanks for keeping up. Big Track was one of my favorites, Life. Magic 8 Ball? Right there. Front and center. You guys look very similar eyes. Yeah, she got my eyes. Uncle Pierre says Buffalo is weak. Yeah, well, I'm not a sore loser, so I'm not going to go off on any tangents about Kansas City. Good luck next week or 2 weeks, rather, if that's your team. Wish you guys all the best. Go Birds. Right back at you, Uncle Pierre. No worries, my friend. Bills got robbed. Richard, I can't necessarily disagree that the calls were pretty horrendous. There were two very specific, but you know what? Sometimes it goes against you, and that's just life. And there'll always be next year, so is what it is. Pez candy, I do have some somewhere.
Oh yeah.
I just don't know where in this mess. Smallest Etch-a-Sketch I've ever seen. Will Gen X ever retire? I don't think I want to. I've seen far too many of my friends eaten alive by a couch. Oh, Stretch Armstrong would be cool. Now, I will say that the vast majority of this stuff was sent to me by followers, so I'm very, 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 very fortunate. Silly Putty there? Not yet. That's a good one. I'll retire a few years after I die. I figure I'll work till noon on the day of my funeral. Ibrahim, thank you so much. I'm more than okay with January 27th being World Generation X Day. Although, would it be yes? Yeah, I think it was the 27th that I hit it. Freshen Up Gum, Jonathan, I hated it, dude. Oh, I love the Outsiders movie. Yeah, I've got it right there. Thank you for the $2 gift. Appreciated. What was I saying? Outsiders is an awesome movie. Man, my memory's gone. Freshen Up Gum. Freshen Up Gum was just disgusting to me. First of all, my mom always seemed to have it in her purse for some reason. And it would go to the very bottom where like the purse lint was, and it would get warm. And the Freshen Up Gum, when the stuff inside got warm, was just a special kind of disgusting. Cleo, Freshen Up Gum is gum that had gooey mouthwash in the gum. So when you'd bite down on the gum, this jelly that was really like gelatinous mouthwash would come up and freshen your breath.
Some people say they liked it.
It was disgusting. Fruit gum was the best 3 seconds of gum ever tasted. Airwolf or Knight Rider? Do I have to pick one or the other? Probably Airwolf, because Airwolf still does stuff that Knight Rider that we couldn't do today. Knight Rider, looking back, is basically a self-driving Tesla with an Alexa built in. So I guess if I could own one of them, I'd want Airwolf. As far as which show I enjoyed more, probably Knight Rider. I don't have a Voltron toy. I'd like that. Big League Chew's back there somewhere. Right there.
Mm-hmm. That's good gum.
Big League Chew is good gum.
That's my favorite, I think.
Telexa is Kit. Yeah, Wirehead sounds right. Speaking of gum, I also have 2 packs of Garbage Pail Kids. You guys remember these? Unopened. My best friend Matt gave me these. They go back to 1986. Can you believe that? These 2 packages with the gum still inside are nearly, 40 years old? Is that crazy? These are 40 years old. And you got to know it's killing me not to know what cards are in here, but I don't want to open them because then I just feel like that would somehow ruin them. But pretty cool. I don't know where they were. I guess we'll put them there.
Yeah, they were right there.
Must be older than me. Yeah, can you believe it, man? Simon game I don't have in-house. Definitely something on my list. Anybody, I know that I've got a couple people from Florida in here. I did want to mention that next week in 9 days, I will be heading to Orlando for the MegaCon convention. This year's guests will include the gang from Breakfast Club, Molly Ringwald, Judd Nelson, Anthony Michael Hall, Ali Sheedy will all be there. The Happy Days crew, Ralph Malf, Donnie Most will be there. I think Potsy will be there. That was Anson Williams. I can't believe I remember these names. Richie will be there. Ron Howard and Henry Winkler will be there as well. Rubik's Cube right there. Never managed to solve it personally. Who else is going to be there? Dean Kane from Lois and Clark will be there. Johnny from Cobra Kai. William Zapka, Billy Zapka will be there. Jennifer Smith says, I'm 12. How old are you? I'm 55 on Saturday. They still make Simon. You can get it at a Target. It's different. It's not exactly the same Simon we had, and I know that sounds silly, but it's like I want a lot of the stuff, but I want it the way we remember. They still make Merlin, but if you look at it, it's not the same Merlin that we played with. Just having a really hard time finding a fully working Merlin that we grew up with back in the 80s. Rubik's Cube's there. Airwolf, hands down. I agree, Nebraska. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. That should be a really good time. It's February 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Should be fun. If you're going to be in the Orlando area, if you think you're going to be there, I will be posting live pretty much all day, every day we're down there. Go ahead and comment on a live that you're there or on a comment section, and I'll see if we can't find you and get some pictures together. My comment section is frozen. So let me unfreeze it and good to go. 8 years on you, silly. Hi, I'd like to inscribe. Appreciate all the subscribers. Thank you so much. What did I do? Well, what did you do? I had to unlock the chat. The chat was frozen for some reason. MASH, I watched like crazy. I didn't really watch MASH a lot. Double Delivers. Dub, I absolutely had to speak and spell. I even had the math version. Yeah, it's a known issue, Wirehead, for sure. I just have to go in and unfreeze it manually, which I just did. Thank you so much, Christine. I appreciate that. Thanks very much to her mother. Pulsar and Hypnose. I don't know that one. MASH, I liked it older. I didn't appreciate it as a kid. I loved Taxi as a kid for some reason, Sherry. Am I famous? I don't think so. I guess it depends on your definition of famous. I am psyched. I just did the math. I didn't even realize we went over 1 million followers from Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube and Instagram. Those four are like 1.5 million right now, which is really cool. Andy Kaufman, absolutely hilarious. Yeah, DB Cooper, with that name, you could be. Alfie Robot, I remember that. Do I have a P.O. box? No, people have just messaged me if there's something they want to get my way and we make arrangements. First of all, I've got an address that I can use that gets it to me. I've got an arrangement where we have this address that's not necessarily a physical address, but it routes to me from the post office. The Commodore VIC-20, Commodore 64, I remember both of those. Quite the day. There are no such things as accidents, only negligence. UFC, I'm all right with it. I don't watch a lot of it. Space Ghost, Hong Kong Phooey, Johnny Quest. Birdman, you lost me. I didn't watch that one. I love the other ones though. Space Ghost, I just remember pretending we had the wrist rockets and we would just shoot. That was awesome. Remind me so much of my father who passed away in 2011. Cubs hat, go Cardinals. Dude, I really appreciate that, Trent. I lost my dad in 2019. It's tough. I don't care how old you get. It's tough losing a parent. My mom used to say that you're never an adult until no one can call you their kid. And I'm still blessed that my mom can still call me her child, so I don't feel like growing up just yet. But my heart goes out to you, brother. Life, I remember the clear phones. I never had one. Girls loved them. Little Professor for Christmas. I got him to a football game once. Bigfoot and Wild Boy Life, I watched religiously. That was a Croft Super Show. And they borrowed some of the sound effects and special effects from the $6 Million Man. Gen Xers never grow up. We just get older. I always wanted to have a Garfield phone. The one I wanted that I never got was the football phone, the Sports Illustrated phone. I even tried to see if my dad wanted a Sports Illustrated subscription for Christmas so that I could snag the phone, but somehow it never got there. DB Cooper says the 80s almost killed me. They thinned out quite a bit of our herd. They definitely weakened Darwin had something to do with us. Sigmund the Sea Monster, didn't watch that one. I did watch, as I said, the Wild Boy, Bigfoot and Wild Boy. I watched Speed Buggy. I watched Land of the Lost, Ark 2. If anybody remembers Ark 2, I'm the only one that seems to remember that one. They drove around in what looked like a weird minivan from space. What else? Electro Woman and Dyna Girl. Those were all Croft, I think. Yeah, Wirehead remembers Ark 2. HR Puff and Spuff. I loved Speed Buggy Life. And then there was Speed Buggy, which was the cartoon. Wonderbug, that's what I was trying to think of. Wonderbug was the not cartoon version. Colin asked if I ever watched Degrassi Junior High. I was from Buffalo, so I spent like my late teen years in Buffalo, which is basically like South Canada. So it was almost required that we become familiar with Degrassi. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I appreciate you. Puff the Magic Dragon, Jabba 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 Jaw. Yeah, Wonderbug, I totally remember. Shaggy DA. You know, that one, we tried to watch it with this one a couple years ago. It doesn't hold up great. It's slow. It takes a while to get moving on that one. A-Team was one of my favorites as well. A-Team and like MacGyver Magnum PI, Simon and Simon, Heart to Heart. I was kind of too young to really like those shows as much as we liked them, but I did like it an awful lot. Finding Nemo. I watched I still find those shows and those movies nostalgic because although I wasn't a kid when they came out, my kids were. So things that happened 20 years ago that I watched with my oldest daughter, I still think of as nostalgic for me. I loved Captain Kangaroo, Ken. Picture pages. I never actually got a set of picture pages. I asked for them a lot. Dukes of Hazzard, Kate, one of my absolute favorites. About a month ago, John Schneider commented on one of my posts, and it was like the best day of my year. Captain Caveman, Electric Company, 321 Contact, the best intro of any educational TV show. I still get hyped when I hear 321 Contact. Mr. Peabody, Romper Room. Riptide, I remember. Oh, and The Master. I don't remember that. I remember Riptide with the screaming Mimi helicopter. Robotech, I remember that. Banana Splits. Beavis and Butthead annoyed the hell out of me, but I'm starting to appreciate them. I did hear they're making a Spaceballs too. I love her too, Cricket. Don't get weird. Cat Dog. I remember Zoom on PBS and the Space Ghost. How about sitcoms like All in the Family? Thank you again for the super chat, dude. All in the Family, I loved because I don't know too many people get the joke even today. People will look at that show and the ones that complain about it say that it couldn't be made today, nor should it be, because Archie was a racist, a misogynist, a bigot. That show basically normalized, it humanized his character. And I'm like, dude, Norman Lear, who produced that show, thank you, Victory, was one of the most prominent progressives of his time. And I'm not saying that from a political standpoint. I don't get political. What I'm saying is he didn't do it to promulgate a negative image as being normal. He did it to show that, you know what? Archie Bunker was a man of his time. You can hate a lot about him, but you still cried when he lost Edith. He was still a person. And I loved that message because it made Archie pay for his stupidity. The guy never won when he was being an ass. He got what was coming to him, but it proved that, you know what? Nobody is all one thing. And that's what we're forgetting today. We forget today that nobody is all one thing. Dexter's Laboratory, I like that. Electric Company with the cosplay Spider-Man. That was my first real superhero on TV. V, somebody mentioned, one of my favorite miniseries as a kid. I loved V. Muppets. A lot of people mentioned Fraggle Rock. I couldn't. Thank you, John, for understanding the message of All in the Family. Dude, it was everything. I love that message. We need that message back today. Today, people are all good or all bad. If they're not social justice warriors saying exactly the right thing at exactly the right time, then they're canceled instantly. We can learn something even from an Archie Bunker, and that's what Norman Lear was trying to tell us. I dislike the Cubs immensely. I don't know how you could dislike the Cubs immensely. Thank you, Trent. Appreciate you, man. Emmett Honors Jug Band Christmas. That was a cable thing, much like Fraggle Rock. I didn't get to see it. My small town didn't. So you had to wait for cable to get to your towns back in those days. You didn't just automatically get to subscribe to cable television. They literally had to lay the cable. And I was in a small town that didn't get cable for a very long time. So even when we did finally get it, my parents were not going to pay for television. They didn't think it was going to last. There's 2 or 3 things that people will not pay for: television and water. Little did they know. I went to UB from 1988 till 1992, maybe 93. So yeah, UB alum. I'd like to say I graduated in 4 years. That would be a lie. Meatballs with Bill Murray was awesome. In the Heat of the Night, Tall Daddy, definitely. Greatest American Hero, best theme song in the world. Small Wonder, dude, I don't know what you're trying to say with that other than that was god-awful. Did I see the Magic Show on TV? It had 3D glasses, 85, 86. I don't, but I just remember 3D being such a big deal when we were kids. Starting with the multicolored glasses on TV, but then there was a while where every movie, especially if it was part 3, was arbitrarily in 3D. 3 things we pay for: comfort, convenience, and pleasure. Is that what you want me to see? No? Did somebody say something inappropriate? Oh, it was deleted.
Oh. It was your eyes.
Oh, maybe it was your eyes. I love the episode of All in the Family with Sammy Davis Jr. and the kiss. I love that one too. I loved any episodes when we were growing up, even something like Batman, which we only watched in reruns. You remember the old 60s era Batman that we would watch as reruns on the WUHF channel? You know, the second dial after school. Sammy Davis Jr. opened a window on Batman. And every episode or so, you'd watch them crawling up, climbing up with their bat ropes up the side of the building. You never knew who was going to be opening a window. And I get baby boomers whenever I mention it, say that I'm stealing their stuff. But it was our stuff too. We grew up watching it, and you never knew who was going to open a window. You never knew who was going to guest star in any shows. And I thought that doesn't happen today like that. I don't remember anybody super cool appearing. Last time somebody cool appeared on something was young Sheldon. And my oldest daughter, who loved Blue's Clues, didn't even realize it happened. But Steve Burns from Blue's Clues sings the opening intro song to young Sheldon. And he actually appeared on a couple episodes, which I thought was kind of like a throwback to when we were kids, that kind of thing can happen. Loved Mork and Mindy. Loved My Secret Identity. I think it was a Canadian produced show. Sorry if I missed something in chat, guys. It froze again. I do remember Chico and the Man. I bring up Chico and the Man a lot when younger people enter chat and they ask about, every now and then I'll put up a video of kind of the experience I had growing up in upstate New York. And it wasn't a very diverse group of kids. It just wasn't. People sometimes comment in the comment sections of pictures I put up or videos and say, why aren't you showing a more diverse group of kids? And the only answer I have for them is because there wasn't a more diverse group of kids there. That's who was there. That said, I do point to them and say, we grew up watching diversity, though, when it wasn't a buzzword, when it wasn't a commandment, when it wasn't a demand. It just was what it was. We had a diverse group of people on TV all the time. We had Sanford and Son. We had Good Times. We had What's Happening. We had, I'm just drawing a blank, The Jeffersons, Chico and the Man. And that's my point. But no one was pointing. If you look at the group of kids, the sweat hogs that were sitting in Mr. Cotter's class, everyone was represented. And it wasn't in order to represent anything other than to say this is who you would see if you were in these neighborhoods. And I like that. I like that things were real. They showed what was out there, and they didn't try to pretend. So yeah, I don't let people pretend that we didn't grow up in a time that honored diversity. We did in our TVs, in our movies, certainly in our music. Had another super chat. Ever watch Mr. Dress Up as a kid? No, Colin, that one escapes me, buddy. Pippi Longstocking on HBO, Mama's Family, Laverne and Shirley. Laverne and Shirley just celebrated their anniversary. I think it's been 49 years yesterday since it first launched, and now only Lenny is still around. Exactly. Thank you, Let. Thank you for supporting the page. I appreciate it.
Wonder Years.
We are now on season 3? Season 3 of the Wonder Years. I'm rewatching it with this one because she got sad when Young Sheldon ended, and she just really loved watching him grow up on that series. So I threw on the Wonder Years, and she's hooked. We watched 2 or 3 episodes a night, and even though it wasn't exactly my childhood, Kevin is a boomer. The story starts in the 1968 when he's like 11 and goes from there. But it reminded me so much of what we grew up with. The difference is Kevin's era stayed there. We started there and then transitioned to a digital age. And that's what made us special. We had the same childhood as a lot of the younger baby boomers did, but then we also have the same childhood as some of the older millennials. We were the bridge between those two. Doogie Howser, we started watching. Strangely enough, some of the episodes were inappropriate age-wise still. Doogie nearly losing it to a doctor who was like 30 years older than him was when I stopped watching that one. How to send you money. You don't have to send me money. Thank you, Christine. As far as supporting the page, anybody can hit the join button. And that's like $1.99 a month to support the page. or you can just hit a super chat button, which allows you literally to just expand your chat for whatever dollar amount you choose. And it's just a way to support the page for those that choose to. But yeah, Doogie Howser blew. A lot of it is about a 15, 16-year-old boy and the hormones that they normally. It's just a couple years ahead of us, I think. Did I ever get over the air TV network, CBC? When I was in Buffalo, I got CBC a lot. We'd also watch Hockey Night in Canada, CTV. I spent a lot of my summers in Toronto because my first cousins lived in Toronto. So whereas I didn't see a lot of MTV really young because we didn't have cable, I did see plenty of Much Music. Go Bills, always. I'm looking forward to it, Samuel. Yeah, I will be in Orlando. For those that are going to be there, I hope we see a few. My two dads, yeah, I actually watched that with my older daughter, and she really thought, based on the title, it was going to be about two dads raising their daughter, meaning different than how it actually was, but all good. We watched the Goody remake a lot. Mr. Wizard, such a jerk to them kids. BJ and the Bear, I remember. Growing Pains, I liked. Do your kids know what a Trapper Keeper is? This one had a Trapper Keeper. This is yours, right, Cleo?
Yeah.
I've stolen her Trapper Keeper, but this was hers.
I tore it up.
Yeah, it's all torn up. But yes, to answer your question, I did not have a Trapper Keeper growing up. My childhood was brought to you by remember how Sesame Street was always brought to you by letters? My childhood was brought to you by the words close enough, meaning my immigrant Greek mother would tell me those two words constantly. I got a Cubs jacket, which was on clearance instead of a Bills jacket, close enough. I got a Mead data center instead of a Mead Trapper Keeper because it was close enough. I got a Star Trek Captain Kirk action figure instead of Luke Skywalker because it was close enough. I could go on.
The Cubs jacket. Right?
Well, that's what. Yeah. Sorry, had to reconnect. Got frozen there for a minute. I remember watching reruns of the Jackie Gleason song. What's worse, losing 4 times to Mahomes or 4 times under Marv Levy? I always try to look at the bright side. I'll tell you what's great is that I got to watch an entire season of football back under Marv Levy. I got to watch 4 Super Bowls with my team in it. Got to enjoy the entire full season. And I got to watch well into the playoffs this year with the team I love. I could do a stand-up routine about my mother. I'm going to have to wait till she passes because she would kill me. But yes, I could. My mother she's actually visiting me tomorrow, and if I can talk her into it, I'll see if I can get her on a live so all of you can see her firsthand.
That'd be hilarious.
Trapper John MD. I remember Trapper John. I never realized, or to this day, I'm not sure. So there was Trapper, right? Trapper from MASH. Is that the same Trapper John from Trapper John MD? I know it's a different actor, but I always wondered if it was the same character. Gen X Mamo? Yeah. No, my mom is special. First of all, if you want the complete embodiment of somebody that grows old and never grows up, it's my mother. It is the same character. Okay, I was wondering. My mom had to grow up early. She lost her mother at the age of 12. And that's my point earlier. I couldn't come home and cry about Chris Yates falling in love with Brian Graves, my best friend, instead of me in the 9th grade. Because if I came home with my face down, all depressed, and I said to my mom, you wouldn't understand. Why would I not understand? Because, Mom, it's bad things happen and I'm sad. She picked another boy. Yes, she picked another boy. Did you come home at 12 and find your mother dead on the floor? I mean, there's no coming back from that. So I sucked it up. But she grew up young. She had to take a role in her family to grow up without her mother. And then as she grew, she's like, I take every opportunity to still be a kid. So she's my mom when she needs to be. She's my friend when she wants to be. She both laughed and cried with me. She made fun of me. She embarrassed me. She beat the snot out of me. All those things. Our moms need to meet. I think they might try and claim that we're both problem child. I'm actually the good one, John. I'm the good one. I grew up with 3 brothers, and I'm the nice one. Thank you, and appreciate that. Yeah, more than likely, she stopped maturing and matured all at once. It's kind of like us. We were expected to be these little adults, right? I remember being 10 or 11 or 12 years old and having our parents say to us, to us guys, be a man. To us women, to the women, not us women, to the women, be a little lady. We were expected to act like adults as children. That was a commandment. You have to act like an adult. And then when we wanted the benefits of being an adult, if we wanted to be able to stay out past the streetlights, then we were a child again. No, I'm the middle child. In all ways possible, I'm the middle child. So we're X years old. We are as old as we've ever been, and we're as young as we've ever been, and as old as we're ever willing to get. And I say that all the time. They can put it on a T-shirt. You have homework to do. What time is it?
I don't know.
9:49. You have homework to do.
Okay.
Okay. I love you. I'll be down. I love you, Peanut. Get changed first, okay?
Okay.
I remember Chess King and Merry-Go-Round. Chess King clothes, wasn't my vibe. Merry-Go-Round, Merry-Go-Round was mostly girl stuff, I think. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Tops and bottoms. Chess King, some things, but some of the stuff was a lot of zippers, a lot of leather. Not my scene. I was more Levi's. It is 9:50. So yes, I'm a bad dad. She should have gotten her homework done earlier. But in our defense, we were at an event where she was receiving honors for her volleyball championship. So I just decided to let her go live with me a little bit. She'll do it. I'm not sure I know what a 2XL robot is. Excuse me. Z Cavarici. Never had those either. Really, for me, Levi's. Whether it was the Buttonfly 501 jeans or the regular 510s, I was a Levi's kid. That was it. So khakis later on in high school, maybe a little bit. Is it 10:01? I'm showing 9:51, but that could be the computer's off. It happens. What? It is 10:01. My computer was lagging. Your mother's going to kill us both. Hyper shirts came when I was in college, so not something I would have worn. Levi's bum equipment I did wear. I'd forgotten about that one. That's a good one to remember. Yep, I'm seeing 10:01 now. You are all correct. Dude, it's so funny. Yeah, I got a good clip of subscribers. Thank you to everybody subscribing. Very much appreciate it. We're at 100,336 as of this moment. I was born in 81, identify as Gen X. That doesn't surprise me, Joey. Members only jacket, I still have mine. Starsky and Hutch. What was that? Asking my mom for blue Nikes like Starsky wore and got another pair of Buster Browns. Body glove, definitely. OP. Jams. What else in the summer? Those were them. Thank you, ML. Later, silly. Flash Gordon, awesome. Awesome. Anything with Queen was incredible. Thank you so much, guys. Oakies. Oakleys were too expensive for my blood wirehead. I think I had a pair of Ray-Bans that I inherited. My parents owned a bar, and I think somebody forgot theirs there, and they were lost and found for a couple days, and I finally took them. Izod for the preppies. I might have, again, my mom, the whole close enough thing. I remember the embarrassment of going to school with a polo, what was it? No, JCPenney Hunt Club polo shirt. And the thing about Hunt Club was it was a little polo icon that was close enough when compared to the actual polo logo. It was a knockoff. I remember wanting a CB jacket for ski club, and Jamesway in Ontario, down near where my hometown was, had an in-store knockoff brand called BC, British Columbia jackets or something. Levi's guy, ever wear a Canadian tuxedo? Definitely. Definitely have worn the Canadian tuxedo. I think I might have sported that look yesterday. I might have had the denim jacket with the jeans on yesterday. But yeah, a BC jacket, and that was the worst. Listen, go to school in a white t-shirt, old jeans. You have that vibe where you don't even care. That was fine. That worked. Nobody bothered that kid. It was the kid whose parents thought that close enough was going to get it done. That's the kid that got destroyed. Don't even come close. Go the other way. Be the kid that doesn't care. But because my parents got me the Bobos that tried to look like Adidas, the Zips that had the stripes that were going the wrong way, that was suicide for a kid in middle school. Black leather coat with a blue jean jacket over it. Never sported that look life. I was more of a hoodie inside the jean jacket. Did you know you're making me laugh? That's good. I hope so. Tracks, Kmart shoes. We call them Bobos. Any off-brand shoes. So in my town, there was a place called Bob's Big M. And it was a supermarket, but in small towns, you can find almost anything in a supermarket. And at the end of one of the aisles before school every year, there would be like what we called affectionately the bin o sneakers. And it was just this wire enclosed bin, and it had like all these Bobos thrown in, and the different shoes would be tied together so that they wouldn't separate, and your mom would just reach in until she found your size, and that was the sneakers for school that year. Especially in the 70s when everyone was really broke as a joke, those Bino sneakers, that's where we went school shopping. And they weren't really leather. They were more like leather's ugly hermaphroditic stepbrother. It was like pleather if pleather was somehow even more uncool. You know, kids today don't want to crease their kicks. They're like, don't crease your sneakers. No, if we bent, they broke. They didn't crease, they snapped in half. But that was it. The Benno sneakers. Velcro would have been a step up, Wirehead. Green socks with sandals. Why does it have to be green? That makes it worse. I did the crisscross backwards clothes for a time. I can't imagine that going well. We had to save to be broke. But I talk about this. The difference between the 70s and 80s were those of us old enough to remember the 70s. That's when everyone was broke. Even everybody on TV, All in the Family, the Bunkers were broke. One life, one day at a time. That family was broke. She was living in the projects. Chico and the Man, broke. Sanford and Son, they lived in a junkyard, broke. Everybody but the Jeffersons were broke in the 70s. Alice, absolutely, Kent. The list can go on and on. Good Times, What's Happening, broke. So we felt seen, right? You'd watch TV, and what we had is literally what was on our television sets. So yeah, the Bradys were rich. Three's Company broke. The guy had to pretend to be gay just to be able to find a place to live. Even early 80s, you had the premise of Bosom Buddies was that they had to pretend to be women to be able to find an affordable place to live. Fat Albert, another good one, broke. So it was okay. There really wasn't shame in being poor in the 70s. I remember everybody on my block celebrating whenever anybody drove home in a new car, and that new car was probably 5 years old. We never had new cars in the 70s because nobody really got out a car loan. I don't remember, and we say we were broke in the 70s, but I'll bet you net worth was higher in the 70s when everybody lived within their means broke versus the 80s when all of a sudden new cars started coming from the sky and everybody was wearing fancy clothes because they wanted to keep up with Dynasty or Dallas or Knots Landing. Look how the shows changed. In the 80s, all those broke shows went away and they were replaced with Knots Landing, Dynasty, Dallas, Falcon Crest, all of money. It was, and to be honest, we were probably more broke in the 80s than we were in the 70s. It's just we had discovered credit. I blame the hippies who turned into yuppies. Never had debit. My dad was, if you can't pay, you don't get it. It just wasn't there. Credit wasn't there. And then our parents didn't really understand it. Mine didn't, in order to help teach me about credit. I remember them coming onto our college campuses and they're, hey, if you want to take an application, we'll give you a Frisbee or a football or a t-shirt. And for the price of a football and the stereo system that I put on that credit card, I destroyed my credit. I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. And thankfully, about 5 years down the road, the nice lady outside the Sears store in the mall said, here, come here, we'll give you a credit card again. And that's how I rebuilt my credit. A lot of us built or rebuilt our credit starting with a Sears card or a J.C. Penney card. Those were our first cards for a lot of us. My parents invested and had a large stock portfolio. I promise you, Hellraiser, you're in the minority. Thank you for doing this live stream. I watch your videos. Joe, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I got toys on layaway, Diners Club. First thing you saved up money for, a VCR, strangely enough. My parents didn't think that the VCR was a big deal. They weren't going to spend the money to buy one. I worked at our restaurant growing up, so I had tips. But then after school, I was also expected at 14 to have a job outside of the family business. My parents wanted me to learn what it was like to have a boss. So I bought a VHS, VCR, right at the place I worked, and I paid for it over layaway. And that's how I got it. I brought home our first VCR, and it was a Fisher VHS. I still remember it to this day. Before that, we would rent a VHS player. Back then, you could do that. You could rent them. They weighed about 430 pounds. You put that on the back of a pickup truck or a forklift and brought it home and rented movies for the weekend and watched them on the rented VCR. I'm working rebuilding my credit. Dude, I've been in banking most of my adult life before I stopped doing that to do this. Thank you so much, Lisa. And I'll say your credit score is a snapshot in time. It just depends on how life is going for you. Most of us over life have been that place where life got tough. Something happened, and so we used our credit, and our score went down. Oh well, and then up, and then down, and then up, and then the one thing I can say as a lender, as a banker, I never met anyone that applied for a loan that I've ever shamed over their credit score. Worst case scenario, I worked with them to help them get back to where they needed to be, because I first of all hate the entire credit score methodology, but that's not entertaining, so we won't get into it. I'll just say for anybody watching, you are not your credit score on both ends. If you have an 850, God bless you. I don't care. If you have a 550, God bless you. I don't care. I'm sure, Cindy. Oh, thank you, Downey. It's true though. I hate, because I've been that person. I hate when I see it in their eyes. They'd come in for a loan and you knew they were hurting, and yet they were there, embarrassed to be there. And then you take that away. You tell them right from the beginning, listen, no matter how this goes, we're going to get you to where you want to be. Two answers are going to come out of our appointment. And this is my elevator speech, and I've got it memorized to this day. I would tell people, one of two things is going to happen today. You're going to leave here with the solution in hand. We're going to get you the financing you need and get moving. Or we're going to start with a plan that's going to get you to where you need to be, where you'll get the financing in hand to get you where you need to be. In any case, no matter what happens today, you will leave here better than you came in, and you'll have a plan to getting you where you need to be. And I don't think I ever failed. No time soon, Steve. I was born here, but thank you. And regardless, that you just got deported. Thank you, Kristen, for being on top of that. Trunk monkey commercials. I don't remember those. Gen X has the greatest attitude about life. Yeah, that is probably a Gen X thing. I hope the good about us is awesome. And I always had, that's the one thing. I had so many customers bring back up. My wife says it's the same thing. Hey, Euros, how are you? My wife says the same thing about this. She goes, my wife watches my lives quietly sometimes. And she's like, you're building relationships. You're not an influencer. You're not even a content creator. She said, you're a bartender that's bartending online without the drinks. I love every second of it. They X us out, true motto. Joey says, I have a drink. Nice. I didn't give it to you, though. I guess that's the point. We need drinks. We will do that someday. Someday. I appreciate that, Life. Likewise. Oh, I got you, Crypto. That makes sense. Crypt. '80s music continues to be the best. The only bad thing about '80s music, '90s music is it's kind of spoiled me. I realized recently that I'm comparing our music to today's music without actually listening to today's music. Now, I'm pretty sure my assumption that today's music is nowhere near as good as ours is true, but I haven't done the work to verify it. I gotta believe there's still good music out there, and I need to start finding it again. I don't want to be so old that I never experience a new artist again. There's got to be something out there, Matthew. There's got to be. I just need to find it. I want to start rediscovering music again. Really? Only 151 in Florida? Some states have different laws. Ours is 190 here. I got to take a sip every time Gen X. Every time Gen X. So when Gen X is said, you drink whenever anybody says Gen X. Gen X. So I'll try not to say Gen X too much. Aerosmith and Zeppelin left way back. You know you're old when you hear 80s and 90s at the grocery store. You know you're old when you hear 80s and 90s during pharma commercials when they're talking about a medication that's supposed to help you manage diabetes and they're playing Led Zeppelin. That's when you know you're old. Dua Lipa's made a career of putting her words over our generation's music. I gotta say, I don't necessarily hate that for two reasons. Number one, it makes her music seem familiar. And then number two, because she pays for the right. She's actually really vocal about the fact that she has such an appreciation for the artists of our generation that she works with them and that she pays them in order to do that. So I like that. Dude, if you could go back in a plutonium-powered DeLorean, I would go with you. Not to stay. I got kids here, so I got to kind of be happy where I am. So we do a show that I know most of you are familiar with called The Three View Mirror. And that's probably the best analogy I can give for the way I look at our times. And that's a rear view mirror. I love looking back while I'm moving forward. I'm not standing still. I'm not driving in reverse. I'm not trying to go back to where I came from. That said, we can't get to anywhere good without making sure we've got an eye looking behind us to see what came before us. And I think that's probably the best analogy I've ever been able to come up with regarding my version of nostalgia. Because people criticize me all the time. I'll get comments saying, you're living in the past. I'm not living in the past. I'm acknowledging the past as I move forward. I love technology. I love the world that we're in for so many reasons. I just think the world today could be a lot better if more people looked back while we're moving forward. I agree, B. Golds. I love that record stores are a thing again. Have to learn from the past, which requires remembering it and requires not judging it in a way that invalidates it. A lot of things we did made sense back then. They don't make sense today. They're not supposed to. We don't ask your permission to have enjoyed the Bad News Bears. We don't ask your permission to have enjoyed Blazing Saddles, Porky's, Airplane, Rodney Dangerfield, Eddie Murphy. We don't ask your permission to have enjoyed All in the Family and Chico and the Man and all those inappropriate dead baby jokes, Challenger jokes. Dude, they were fine for the time we grew up in. And we evolve over time, but it is what it is. And we couldn't get to where we were going without starting where we were. Yeah, ring light does fun things with eyebrows. My goodness, dead baby jokes. I'd forgotten. I remember a lot of them. Hey, future risks. Maybe soft, maybe not. I don't know. I don't judge them. Life will sort them all out. I say, listen, if we really believe, hey, Angel or Angeli, Nordstrom, if they're soft, they will become unsoft because life is an impartial and unfair teacher. If kids are soft, they're because we might have helped make them soft. But whatever lessons we did not teach the next generation, I promise you life will fill in the blanks, and it'll hurt. Oh, I got you, Futurist. 521 Barbecue. Yes, sir. Or ma'am. You got me at a disadvantage. Humor died after Gen X grew up, Millennials and Gen Z came along. I think it's still there, and I think it's coming back. There's some artists coming around that would surprise you. The pendulum swings. Sometimes one way, some way, and sometimes another. I think you'll be surprised. Some of the best performing comedians are really rediscovering comedy. It'll get there. Bills forever for sure, Dr. Green Thumb. Thanks, Kristen. Was I obsessed with Quantum Leap as much as you were? So much so that I even tried to watch the reboot, which I didn't love. We need another George Carlin. There won't be one. There won't be one, but there'll be someone else. I was born in 69. Love your comment. Always on point. Thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate that. Is Gen Z cool because of Gen X? I don't know. I like to have fun with them. I've got a bunch of kids at the bar that I bartend in a few nights a week. They're more than willing to play with me. They let me make content. They answer my silly questions. They let me laugh with them. I make content, but I always basically say when I'm making fun of people, I'm saying either they're joking, because I think a lot of these Zoomers are joking. But even if they're not, they're the minority. But I'll be damned if I don't take up the opportunity to have good content. I'll take them at their word. If they're just pretending to be dumb, well, then I'm not too dumb to use it. If they're pretending to be dumb in order to get clicks, then I'm willing to take those pretend videos that get clicks and use them to get laughs. I appreciate that, Monica. Thank you so much. I was a bar baby, single mother tended bar. My parents threw me behind the bar at 16. We owned a bar, small town, nobody looked twice. Now, to be fair, I had a mustache and a full beard by 16, being 100% Greek, so that wasn't tough. I like the creativity some of your Gen Z colleagues come up with. I do too. I do too. And they've got thick skins. I mean, think about it. They're willing to come on and yeah, so they don't know how to tell time on an analog clock with Roman numerals. I promise you they did after I made that video. So that's the cool thing. At least locally, the kids that I work with, we fill in the gaps after the fact. And they know they're going to get brutalized in the comments, but they think it's just cool when they see one of their videos get up to 1 million views. That's the trade-off for them. Young Turks was a lie. Great song, though. Old Gen X metalhead here. Kind of new kids in school like them. See, dude, that's the comment of the night. We can't pretend we didn't have idiots. We had more than our fair share. We had idiots, but our idiots were different. We knew people that were dumb about life, but they were still forced to basically know basic math. There were certain things that were not, you weren't allowed to be stupid in certain ways. Not across an entire generation. They say, well, those clocks are outdated now. That's not current technology. Neither was a telegraph or a telegram, but I don't know anybody that didn't know what one was. I don't know anyone that wasn't at least familiar with the concept of Morse code back when we were growing up, even though it too was data technology. And we knew that stuff without one of these in our pockets. I like that, Roberta. I've never spent any time watching live feeds. Why am I all of a sudden enthralled by this one? Oh, thank you so much. Maybe because it's not about me. I'm not nearly entertaining enough to keep 250 people at a time entertained. I love that you guys are as big a part of this conversation as I am. Still use analog watches. I love them. So do I. Slide rule in school. Abacus. So if we talk about iPad babies today, we're abacus babies. One of my earliest toys as a child that I remember was the wooden abacus. Do you guys remember that? Sliding that? That's what that was. We basically had math in our cribs. And that's something I didn't ever connect until literally right this second. New comedians just are more afraid of getting canceled. It's starting to go the other way, John. Slowly, it's starting to go the other way. Some comedians are basically like, I dare you to cancel me. It's and then you've got people like Eminem that do it on the music scene. It's starting to turn. We can read cursive, first calculator watch. Not only can we read cursive, I remember writing notes and it was the preferred way to write. All right, guys, by my watch, I got 10:13. Speaking of understanding time, I appreciate this, guys. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the 100,000 followers I have here on YouTube. Mean as much to me, if not more, than the 712,000 I have over on Facebook, the 160,000 on Instagram, 315,000 on TikTok. I appreciate you guys so much. By far, one of my most interactive platforms, and I thank you guys. My phone also just went dark on me, which is telling me I'm at 5%, so I'm going to end this quickly. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Maybe live tomorrow night, if not Friday, 5:30 p.m. right here on YouTube for the Three View Mirror. Thank you again for the 100K. Keep sharing. Keep watching the content if you like it. I will see you guys on Friday, if not before. And for those in the Florida area, look for me February 6th through the 9th at MegaCon Orlando. Can't read your comments now because it's gone dark on me, but I love you guys. Be good. Peace. Stay rad.